at UFC 263, and that just passed last night for us. This past weekend for the listeners, guys. What did you think? Where do you want to start?
Let's start at the main event, the headliner. Israel taking Marvin to school, outclassed him, and the big question was like, oh, well, Jan Blachowicz was able to hold Israel down, take him down at will. Marvin might implement the same game plan, and Marvin tried and he failed. I don't think Marvin did a good job with his wrestling. Yeah, he was able to get Izzy down like 2 or 3 times, but Izzy popped right back up. Even there was a point where Izzy swept him. So like it was just the grappling was a non-factor. It showed like Israel, he worked on his wrestling, looked like he learned from the Blachowicz fight. Izzy, the striking was crazy. Israel slipped a lot of punches. He slipped so many punches. Yeah, and Marvin was able to hit him with 2 or 3 jabs and a few straights. But I don't think there were like anything impactful because obviously Israel was still doing what he was doing throughout the entire fight. So I know that you have people like Chael Sonnen, his type of mindset, who was like, hey, yeah, Israel was the right person that won, but it wasn't at 50-45. And I hate that because I'm like, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, Israel won every round of that fight. I just don't see how you could give Marvin a single round. And he was sitting there hoping for the best to score takedowns every round. And I don't know, man. It looked like Marvin he wasn't ready to fight at that level.
The thing that made me laugh was at the end of the fight, you saw them standing in the ring talking to each other in the octagon. And Marvin's apparently saying, yeah, I think I won that fight. I think I won that fight. And I'm just like, yo, you got to get over it, man. Like, you lost twice to him. You know what I mean? Convincingly. And I got to give him credit because he didn't look bad in this fight. He was definitely game for competition. Like, he hung in there all 5 rounds and was in there. But Izzy just outstruck him. And when they got on the ground, he was surprisingly crafty in order to get up. Like, I got to respect Izzy for the performance he put on this weekend because he did his thing in order to win. I thought he was going to finish him, but he was just more dominant and instead of, actually getting the finish. But I mean, like, shouts out to him though. I also like the fact that he shouted out his friend who passed, you know what I mean? And seemed to speak on that a little bit. But yeah, no, he carried himself well in this fight and, and every facet of it.
Adesanya, he carried himself perfectly throughout this whole fight, dominated every round. I don't know what fight he was fighting to believe that he won the fight. Similar, just as delusional as his first one with Adesanya. There was an interview between the two of them, like leading up to the fight. And even Adesanya told him that he was like, I beat Adesanya before. He was like, you're still holding on to this one judge. He was like, just let it go. He was like, you're going to find out this weekend why you didn't win the fight the first time. And true to his prescription, he did not figure out how whatever he did in the first fight, he must have did in the second fight because it didn't grant him a win. Yeah. It was a good fight. I believe because I kind of, sometimes watching these fights back to back can be a little clustering at times, but I believe that's the same fight where Adesanya was chopping his leg down as well, correct?
Yeah, you're talking about the main event that just happened?
Yeah.
He was, man, Adesanya, man, the way he was whipping the leg kicks and the head kicks, woo.
He was on point.
I got to give credit to Vettori. He defended some of them head kicks well, and he missed some of them. So credit to Vettori. And I did say in the last podcast that he's a tough out. So I didn't pick. I picked Adesanya to win, but I didn't pick him to finish him because I was like, look, Vettori, he's a tough guy. But with that being said, there's not much more credit I can give. So he was taken to school. He got outclassed, and for him to think that he did enough to win that fight last night, he we might have to give him the Fabio Award of the week because that
Yeah,
was
he got it. That's it.
that's like wow. Okay,
It's,
so I mean, I like the main event. I know some of the Adesanya diehard haters were like, "Oh, he's so boring. He never had a good performance." And like, okay, yeah, go ahead. So, but what I will say though that